let's talk about one of the craziest real estate schemes in the history of Washington, D.C. that you probably don't even know about. Did you know that Chevy Chase once had an amusement park and that it went head to head with Glen Echo in the early 1900s? Before cars ruled the road, streetcars weren't just for commuting. They were a gateway to entertainment, and amusement parks weren't just places for fun. They were real estate marketing tools shaping the very suburbs we live in today. So let's take a ride back in time. Hey, real quick, this is going to be a longer than just a minute. So if you don't have the time right now, bookmark this video and come back to learn more. 1890s, Chevy Chase was still in its infancy. The Chevy Chase Land Company had a vision, create an upscale suburban retreat for Washington to lead. But how do you convince people to move to a developed area? You build an amusement park. Chevy Chase Lake was developed in 1894 as a marketing tool at the end of the Connecticut Avenue streetcar line, with a man-made lake, boat rides, dance pavilions, and nightly concerts. It became a refined yet entertaining destination. Families would take the streetcar up Connecticut Avenue for a day of leisure and ideally start dreaming about buying a house nearby. Right now, I'm standing in front of the art trolley they constructed in the Chevy Chase Lake development, a nod to the streetcars of the past. It's funny, when they built this shopping center, they installed this art project. I've asked a ton of neighbors who had no idea why there was a trolley at Chevy Chase. This is Coquelin Run. It's a small, unassuming stream that thousands of people drive over every day without even noticing. Back in the late 1800s, this stream was dammed to create the Chevy Chase Lake. That lake was the centerpiece of the amusement park, an attraction in itself, drawing people out from the city for a peaceful, cool day on the water. And hey, if you've ever ridden down Connecticut Avenue, that's it. That's where you crossed over Coquelin Run. Meanwhile, just a few miles away, this place, Glen Echo Park, was on a different trajectory. It was originally built in 1891 as a Chautauqua retreat meant for education and culture, but that concept didn't take off, and by the early 1900s, Glen Echo transformed into a full-scale amusement park with thrilling rides like roller coasters, bumper cars pavilion, and the famous Denzel Carousel. Glen Echo wasn't just a peaceful retreat, it was a high-energy mass-market hub. Unlike Chevy Chase Lake's more refined atmosphere, Glen Echo welcomed crowds looking for excitement. It was Coney Island of the DC suburbs. And you know what's really cool? If you visit Glen Echo, right down there on the road, you can still see the trolley tracks. The rivalry between Chevy Chase Lake and Glen Echo wasn't just about entertainment. It was about who could control suburban expansion. Both parks were at the end of competing streetcar lines owned by land development companies. Their goal? Use these parks to sell homes. In Chevy Chase Lake, they promoted a quieter, family-friendly suburban lifestyle, attracting homeowners looking for an elegant retreat. Here in Glen Echo, they catered to more thrill seekers, large crowds, boosting streetcar ridership and nearby businesses. And here's where things got ugly. They weren't just two parks competing for visitors. They were two real estate empires waging a propaganda war. Each side tried to scare people away from the other development. Chevy Chase Land Company would plant stories about how Glen Echo's wild crowds and rowdy amusements made it unsafe to live, while Glen Echo's backers would counter by implying that Chevy Chase's exclusivity meant it was out of reach for most homebuyers. Newspaper stories, pamphlets, and public speeches all played a role in trying to sway potential residents. By the 1920s and the 1930s, America was changing. The rise of the automobile meant people no longer relied on streetcar lines to reach entertainment. They could drive further to bigger attractions, beaches, and vacation spots. Chevy Chase Lake slowly declined, and in 1936 the lake was drained, and the amusement park faded into history. Glen Echo, despite lasting longer, faced racial segregation battles, declining popularity, and it officially shut down in 1968. You won't find roller coasters or boating pavilions, but the echoes of these amusement parks are still around. Glen Echo Park still stands as an arts and cultural center, with its Denzel Carousel still in operation. Chevy Chase Lake is transformed into condos with a retail development, and the Purple Line is set to bring transit back to the area. It's fascinating to think that these amusement parks began as marketing schemes to attract homebuyers, yet they worked. Today, both neighborhoods are among the most sought-after suburbs of Washington, D.C. Don't be surprised if you see several multi-million-dollar houses. Celebrities and politicians are among their residents. For instance, Supreme Court Chief Justice John Roberts and Federal Reserve Chairman Jerome Powell have called these areas home. At the turn of the 20th century, these amusement parks were designed to add value to the homes built around them. If you own a home today, what was your biggest draw for you? Was it the neighborhood, the schools, or something else entirely? Let me know in the comments. And if you love local history, hit that subscribe button for more stories from our past.